Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menyaksikan Niaga Awani bersama saya Rozman dan sebentar saja lagi rakan tugas Nabilah Khaleeda akan menyertai kami sebentar saja lagi. Dan kita akan mulakan dengan perkembangan di peringkat ataupun di luar negara dengan hubungan ekonomi dan perdagangan antara Malaysia dan United Kingdom antara yang penting dan terus berkembang. Beberapa sektor utama dalam perdagangan dua hala ini termasuk perindustrian, pembuatan produk pertanian elektronik, minyak sawit serta produk teknologi. Lawatan kerja Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim ke UK antara usaha untuk mengukuhkan hubungan perdagangan antara Kuala Lumpur dan London. Wartawan Hasimi Muhammad dari Kota London ada laporannya.
Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim telah pun tiba di London, United Kingdom untuk memulakan lawatan kerja pertama beliau sejak menjawat jawatan sebagai Perdana Menteri ke United Kingdom dan juga ke Eropah selaku pengerusi ASEAN 2025. Sudah tentu jadual padat menanti Perdana Menteri sebanyak 5 hari beliau melakukan lawatan kerja ke UK ini, yang mana untuk hari ini Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim dijadualkan bertemu dengan rakan sejawatannya Keir Starmer di nombor 10 Downing Street untuk membincangkan hubungan dua hala dan juga pelbagai isu-isu serantau dan juga isu-isu semasa, yang mana semasa pertemuan tersebut kedua-dua pemimpin akan menyentuh termasuk juga kerjasama dua hala dalam bidang ekonomi seperti perdagangan dan pelaburan, pengajian tinggi, agri, komoditi serta tenaga boleh baharu dan alam sekitar. Selain itu dijangka menyentuh kerjasama mengenai bidang pertahanan, digital, hubungan sama rakyat termasuk pendidikan, pertukaran kebudayaan, sektor pelancongan, isu-isu serantau termasuk juga mengenai kepentingan bersama seperti kepengungsian ASEAN, situasi di Asia Barat dan Myanmar. Dan dalam rangka lawatan kerja ini juga Perdana Menteri dan kedua-duanya akan menyaksikan pertukaran memorandum persefahaman MOU melibatkan Joint Economic Trade Committee and other supporting mechanism antara Kementerian Perdagangan, Pelaburan dan Industri bersama Department for Business and Trade UK. Selain itu juga Perdana Menteri akan melakukan mesyuarat meja bulat bersama dengan Kapten Industri di UK yang dianggarkan sekitar 40 syarikat tempatan akan terlibat dalam mesyuarat meja bulat tersebut, yang mana Perdana Menteri juga akan mengadakan mesyuarat terhad bersama syarikat-syarikat terpilih bagi meyakinkan mereka membuat pelaburan langsung ke Malaysia. Selain itu juga akan disaksikan Perdana Menteri akan mengunjungi Battersea Power Station yang merupakan pelaburan terbesar Malaysia melibatkan dana awam di Eropah. Selain itu, seperti mana lawatan kerja Perdana Menteri sebelum ini juga, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim dijadualkan menyampaikan syarahan umum khas di London School of Economics dan merasmikan Auditorium Malaysia di lokasi sama, yang mana syarahan tersebut akan memberikan tumpuan, antaranya akan dihadiri oleh ketua-ketua perwakilan dari negara ASEAN, pelajar-pelajar Malaysia tempatan dan antarabangsa. Selain itu juga akan kita beri tumpuan kepada Perdana Menteri akan menghoskan majlis ramah mesra bersama diaspora Malaysia di United Kingdom pada 17 Januari ini, dianggarkan akan disertai oleh 700 orang. Ini antara jadual yang menanti Perdana Menteri sepanjang beliau berada di London untuk lawatan kerja atas jemputan rakan sejawatannya Keir Starmer. Sudah tentu selain daripada perkara yang kita maklumkan sebentar tadi, sudah tentu banyak lagi akan melihat kepada peranan Malaysia dalam keanggotaan BRICS dan juga bagaimana Malaysia mahu mengangkat suara ASEAN di pentas global. Sudah tentu perkara-perkara ini akan memanfaatkan Malaysia dan United Kingdom, mandangkan kalau kita lihat dari sudut nilai perdagangan Malaysia antara rakan dagang keempat terbesar untuk UK dalam negara-negara anggota ASEAN, dan juga nilai perdagangan Malaysia dengan UK mencecah 15 bilion ringgit pada November 2024. Tentu kita akan bawakan banyak lagi perkembangan sepanjang lawatan Perdana Menteri ke London, United Kingdom. Untuk jam ini saya kira setakat ini dulu laporan saya dan rakan Sugas Sujenderam dari London untuk Astro AWANI.
Baik, dalam segmen ini kita akan tumpukan perbincangan kepada AI di mana Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim menyatakan hasrat untuk segera mengaplikasikan teknologi kecerdasan buatan AI dan blok rantai dalam sistem perkhidmatan kerajaan. Perdana Menteri berkata kertas kabinet akan disiapkan secepat mungkin untuk pertimbangan jemaah menteri memandangkan teknologi baharu ini mampu memberi manfaat besar kepada rakyat dengan membantras ketirisan dalam aspek kewangan. Jadi kita mahu meneliti bagaimanakah kerajaan merancang untuk mengintegrasikan teknologi kecerdasan buatan AI dan blok rantai dalam perkhidmatan awam, apakah antara sektor-sektor yang menjadi tumpuan dalam pelaksanaan dan bagaimanakah setiap teknologi ini dapat menangani masalah yang sedia ada seperti ketirisan kewangan. Dengan itu saya mempersilakan tetamu yang sudah bersedia untuk mengulas lebih lanjut adalah Profesor Dr. Zurati Ahmad Zulkarnain, merupakan Profesor Rangkaian Komputer dan Keselamatan Cyber Fakulti Sains Komputer dan Teknologi Maklumat UPM. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih Prof kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami. Pertama sekali untuk kita meneliti keadaan ini, bagaimanakah persediaan Malaysia sebenarnya dapat memastikan pelaksanaan teknologi AI dan juga blok rantaian dalam perkhidmatan kerajaan government service dapat dilakukan lebih cekap dan lebih berkesan agar setiap langkah ini dapat elakkan ketirisan kewangan yang berpotensi, Prof.
Okey, terima kasih Lina. Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi. Hari ini kita akan membicarakan tentang teknologi AI dan juga blockchain, itu blok rantai ya. Sebab teknologi blockchain ini telah pun lama sekitar 2018 lah ya, di mana kelebihan teknologi ini adalah data itu disimpan dalam blok yang dihubungkan bersama dalam sebuah rantaian, di mana node-node itu mestilah mempunyai ID dan boleh authenticate. So apakah authenticate di sini? Yang pertama adalah data itu diletakkan, disimpan dalam bentuk blok ya, di mana ia adalah bersifat telus dan transparent, di mana rekod transaksi yang dihasilkan adalah kekal dan tidak boleh diubah ya, yang boleh mengurangkan risiko terhadap manipulasi penipuan. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, sifat teknologi blockchain ini adalah tracing atau berupaya untuk mengesan setiap aliran data itu daripada blok kepada blok yang berasaskan kepada hashing value tu ya, terutama dalam sistem keuangan seperti aliran dana yang boleh berlaku ya, pengesanan itu berlaku dengan tepat bagi memastikan penggunaan pertukar yang sahih. Itu yang sangat penting. Yang ketiga, mekanisme ya pada teknologi blockchain ini adalah berdasarkan kepada smart contract, iaitu kontrak tinta ya, berdasarkan apakah algoritmanya ya dalam protokol tersebut. Jadi ia berupaya memastikan pembayaran itu dibuat berdasarkan kepada syarat yang telah pun dipenuhi ya, yang telah pun distandardize ya, yang berupaya untuk menghapuskan penyelewengan ya, terutama dalam proses pembayaran ya yang melibatkan keuangan. Jadi pada saya itulah 3 perkara asas ya yang sangat penting ya dalam teknologi blockchain dan juga AI. Di langkah-langkah ya yang sepatutnya boleh kerajaan pertimbangkan adalah yang pertama, bagi memastikan pengesahan identiti. Itu adalah perkara asas bagi teknologi blockchain, iaitu authentication. Sebabnya teknologi blockchain ini memang akan memastikan node-node dalam rantai itu, maksudnya setiap akses sama ada komputer ke, itulah maksudnya node di sini ya, ataupun pengguna itu memastikan pihak yang terlibat itu mestilah berdasarkan kepada transaksi yang sahih. Itulah authentication. Yang kedua, teknologi AI ya, AI artificial intelligence ini memastikan data yang digunakan itu adalah yang terkini dan tepat ya, sebab berdasarkan kepada data analisis ya, data analitik dan juga data raya. Jadi ia akan mengurangkan risiko penyalahgunaan maklumat ya. Yang ketiga adalah automate ya, proses automasi ini daripada integrasi AI dan juga blockchain ini akan memastikan ya, automasi proses keuangan berlaku berdasarkan kepada proses audit, berdasarkan proses untuk mempercepatkan transaksi tanpa melibatkan pihak ketiga. Ini sangat penting ya, dan seterusnya akan mengurangkan campur tangan pihak ketiga.
Dan ini adalah 3 perkara asas apabila kita bercakap mengenai teknologi AI dan juga blockchain. Tetapi Prof, apakah antara langkah-langkah yang boleh dilakukan oleh kerajaan untuk mempercepatkan penerapan teknologi AI dan juga blockchain? Bagaimana untuk Malaysia sendiri mempelajari daripada kemajuan ataupun panduan daripada perkara ataupun langkah yang dilakukan oleh UAE sendiri?
Okey, of course lah bila mana kita nak regulate teknologi ya. Yang pertama kita mesti ada satu data ataupun framework kerangka kerja yang jelas ya, yang clear tentang macam mana implementasi teknologi AI dan juga blockchain ini dalam sektor keuangan dan juga sektor awam. Bila kita lihat ya kepada dasar-dasar yang diperkenalkan ya oleh UAE, kita boleh lihat ya macam mana UAE memperkenalkan strategi UAE AI Strategi 2021, di mana UAE memperkenalkan menggubal satu strategi yang komprehensif ya, yang melibatkan pelaburan terhadap penyelidikan ya, penyediaan serta pembangunan bakat dan juga kerangka tadbir urus AI-nya. Jadi kita boleh lihat yang pertama dari segi kepentingan untuk mempunyai satu kerangka kerja yang jelas ya. Yang kedua adalah dari aspek macam mana untuk mempergiatkan dan memperkasakan dari sudut pelaburan dalam pendidikan dan juga training. Sebab kita nak cepat ya. Macam mana kita nak pastikan ia dapat digunakan, dapat diimplementkan dengan cepat dan selamat. Jadi kalau kita lihat UAE ini juga telah memberikan tumpuan ya kepada pendidikan teknologi ya seawal tahun 2020 lagi ya, mana kita lihat mereka mempergiatkan pusat penyelidikan dan juga program latihan AI ini. Jadi kita bolehlah meningkatkan penawaran kursus AI dan juga blockchain di universiti tempatan dan juga latihan institusi latihan teknikal. Yang ketiga yang saya nampak adalah macam mana UAE boleh menggunakan AI bagi mempercepatkan perkhidmatan awam dari segi perkhidmatan services ya, seperti pemprosesan dokumen dan juga pengesanan perkara-perkara yang tidak sepatutnya berlaku. Jadi kita boleh mengambil peluang mempelajari macam mana kita boleh adapt teknologi ini dalam mengurangkan proses-proses birokrasi. Sebab kita melihat dari sudut kepada kecepatan dan kecekapan serta untuk mengurangkan kesulitan keuangan. Yang keempat adalah dengan melihat peluang ya. Kalau UAE ini mereka UAE telah memperkenalkan projek perintis yang dikenali sebagai Dubai Blockchain Strategy. Jadi macam mana negara kita mengambil belajar daripada UAE, macam mana memulakan ya projek blockchain ini yang saya nampak ya kita boleh perkenalkan dalam bidang kesihatan ya, memperkasakan bidang kesihatan, mempercepatkan proses ya supaya tidak berlaku redundancy dan sebagainya. Begitu juga dengan pendidikan dan keuangan. Dan yang kelima yang sangat penting adalah pembangunan infrastruktur teknologi. Bila kita bersedia, jadi kita harus committed untuk memastikan infrastruktur teknologi bagi pusat data, pembangunan platform ya yang bersesuaian, yang melibatkan platform dan juga blockchain lah ya di peringkat nasional. Ini sangat penting bagi melihat konsistensi ya terhadap adaptasi teknologi tersebut.
Baik, melihat kepada keupayaan Malaysia ketika ini, Prof meliti daripada segi capability Malaysia dalam mengatasi setiap cabaran dan membentuk satu penyelesaian yang lebih inovatif. Apakah antara cabaran yang mungkin timbul daripada kerjasama global seperti contoh Binance ini, dan apakah antara langkah-langkah ataupun strategi yang boleh dilakukan untuk kurangkan lagi risiko-risiko tersebut?
Okey, kita kena tahu ya apakah Binance. Binance ialah satu bursa wang mata wang kripto ya yang terbesar di dunia. Jadi kita tahu memang ada Singapore Binance ya, ada US Binance ya. Jadi sebenarnya kalau kita lihat Binance ini di samping wang kripto, Binance juga tu menawarkan pelbagai perkhidmatan ya berkaitan aset digital, seperti perdagangan, simpanan dan juga teknologi blockchain. So dalam konteks ya, contohnya untuk kita mempunyai kerjasama dengan Binance, seharusnya yang pertama kita perlu ada penguatkuasaan undang-undang yang kukuh di Malaysia. Jadi bila adanya satu regulasi yang kukuh ya dan jelas, jadi saya nampak kita memang akan boleh meneruskan ya kerjasama dengan pihak Binance ya. Jadi bila adanya peluang untuk kita gerakkan kerjasama, regulation yang jelas. Jadi dari situ kita lihat bila ada cabaran untuk tidak mematuhi undang-undang keuangan dan regulasi tempatan, jadi kita dapat lihatlah ia akan memberi kesan terhadap jaringan kerjasama. Jadi sudah semestinya bila pihak finance untuk mengekalkan kerjasama itu, mereka perlu patuh kepada piawaian Bank Negara Malaysia dan juga Suruhanjaya Security. Yang kedua adalah dari aspek keselamatan data dan privasi. Kita membenarkan kerjasama itu tersebut untuk memastikan kecepatan, kecekapan terhadap proses dan juga perkhidmatan. Dalam masa yang sama, kita mesti memastikanlah bahawa mereka juga dapat melindungi dari data dan juga privasi pengguna. Jadi dalam aspek blockchain dan juga AI ini sangat penting untuk kita mewajibkan pelaksanaan protokol keselamatan data dan juga audit cyber secara berkala. Okay. Yang ketiga, kena pastikan supaya berlakunya memastikan pasaran itu ada stable. Sekiranya tidak stable, akan datang risiko lah terhadap especially volatility. Maksudnya kita punya wang kripto itu kita volatility lah sebab somehow kita kadang-kadang tak sure bila tak stabil menyebabkan kerugian Dan yang keempat adalah bila bergantung kepada syarikat asing, so kena pastikanlah bahawa kita mempunyai pakar dan bakat-bakat yang boleh adapt teknologi tersebut demi kepentingan negara dan juga kita punya masyarakat setempat. Seterusnya ia akan memperkasakanlah bakat-bakat sedia ada di negara kita, insya-Allah.
Dan sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Prof kerana bantu kami faham bagaimanakah teknologi AI dan integrasi rantai blok ni ke dalam perkhidmatan awam. Bagaimanakah langkah ini dapat diintegrasikan? Apakah antara aspek-aspek yang perlu diberi tumpuan daripada segi cabaran hinggalah ke peluang seperti yang Prof kongsikan tadi, pendidikan, teknologi, keselamatan cyber ini adalah antara komponen-komponen penting yang perlu diberi perhatian. Sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Profesor Dr. Zuriati Ahmad Zulkarnain, merupakan Profesor Rangkaian Komputer dan Keselamatan Cyber Fakulti Sains Komputer dan Teknologi Maklumat UPM, dan sudah tentu setiap perbincangan ini akan kami rangkumkan dalam astroawani.com dan di semua platform digital Astro Awani.
Yinsen Holdings Berhad telah memeterai perjanjian muktamad dengan konsortium pelabur antarabangsa untuk menerbitkan $1 bilion Amerika atau 4.5 bilion ringgit pelaburan dalam saham keutamaan boleh tukar boleh tebus RCPS, kumpulan dan waran 10% pada nilai pas cawang sebanyak $3.7 bilion Amerika. Kumpulan itu berkata perjanjian tersebut melibatkan saham syarikat luar pesisir bilik penuhnya Yinsen Production. Tumpuan Public Bank Berhad terhadap pembiayaan perusahaan kecil dan sederhana PKS untuk meningkatkan margin faedah bersih NIM adalah tepat pada masanya tetapi berkemungkinan menghadapi persaingan daripada bank lain, kata kenanga research. Menurut firma pendidikan itu, bank itu berhasrat untuk kekal konservatif dengan menguruskan risiko dan langkahnya bagi melepaskan tahap perlindungan kerugian pinjamannya menunjukkan cengkaman yang lebih kukuh terhadap kualiti aset selaras dengan prospek positif bagi Malaysia. Penyedia perkhidmatan kejuruteraan dan pembinaan Kin Leung Corp Berhad menjual sebidang tanah pegangan bebas seluas 56.5 hektar di Kota Tinggi Johor dengan harga RM55 juta kepada KT Tech Park Sdn Berhad. Unit milik penuh tidak langsungnya Kitaran Lintas Sdn Berhad telah menandatangani perjanjian jual beli tersebut. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta daganus.com.
The leadership landscape in fintech is rapidly evolving with a strong emphasis of ethical decision-making and authenticity. As fintech startups mature, there's a shift from founder-led to professional management, often bringing in CEOs with regulatory expertise. The sector's diverse workforce presents both opportunities and challenges for leadership. Additionally, funding is becoming more selective, focusing on profitable scale-ups. The Feed Forum supports fintech leadership by enhancing awareness, improving governance, facilitating collaborations, and providing continuous learning opportunities. And this initiative helps leaders navigate the complexities of the financial landscape and drive sustainable growth. And we have ready with us in the studio is Mr. Tay Kewan, the CEO of Financial Institution Director Education Forum. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Tay, for joining me. Firstly, we want to talk about the role of board leadership in driving corporate governance. How can effective, we can say, board leadership safeguard the integrity and long-term sustainability of financial institution in a very complex and dynamic regulatory environment currently?
Okay, thank you for inviting me. First and foremost, we need to recognize that the board of the financial institutions has got a very fundamental fiduciary duty to do the following. Number one is to protect the interests of its diverse stakeholders, including its shareholders, its customers, and its employees. Secondly, I think the importance of the board is also to ensure that its reputation of the institution that represents are very much intact and very much enhanced. And thirdly, it has its important role to ensure that it has its stakeholder-driven governance to protect whatever changes and also to overcome the disruptions that the industry experience as it moves along.
And with increasing stakeholder scrutiny, what step can board take to strengthen accountability, transparency in their corporate governance practices?
Okay, thank you for asking that. In financial industry in Malaysia particularly has undergone very severe and very beneficial reforms. First and foremost, the selection of the directors are very much scrutinized, with the central bank being on top of it. Not only the selection has to be approved at the regulatory level, whoever that is selected and appointed to the board will have to undergo the compulsory financial industry directors education core programs, and which are being sponsored by the institution that they represent. Secondly, the encouragement to ensure that they are continuously, experiencing awareness as well as education is in place. The third one is, I think, the importance of transparency and accountability it's part and parcel of the desired cultural traits, which has always been encouraged. And it is very heartening to note that the boards of various institutions that we have seen in this country have overcome the various challenges. And not only that, they have met up to the robust and very rigorous requirements of the central bank, so that the capital employed are being protected, the public interests are being enhanced, and importantly, the country's prosperity will continue in a more sustainable manner.
Definitely, it's a big responsibility for all the board members to ensure the safety, the value of the company, the value of the customer that they bring along is protected. And how can boards effectively lead the way in fostering ethical decisions and risk management, especially in the wake of recent financial scandals and crises, Mr. Tay?
Okay. Structurally, I think they do have to comply to a number of internal processes. Importantly, the reporting side of it. The reporting side of it enhances the transparencies, as well as denotes the accountability of the board in its deliberation to arrive at a very key decision. Secondly, I think there is already a very robust risk management processes through the setup of risk committees, and as well as the exchange of information and networking, so that the board that undertakes this responsibility are fully aware of the consequences of the decision they take. The third one, I think, is also about embedding the board cultural traits, which I've described earlier on, which is very much making sure that the leadership is always in place, to making sure that the public interest remains the core of what they do. That's important.
And I want to dive in further about the embedding cultures and what are the most common cultural challenges faced by the boards, and how can we use this or transform it into a strength?
Okay, board leadership is the key, and therefore the selection of board chairman is important. Gone are the days where we see, you find that decisions are made unilaterally. In today's world, it's mostly driven on consensus. And consensus is important, where it allows full participation of everyone involved at the board level to arrive at a very sound decision. Secondly, I think by enabling a full participation, which will lead to a conducive dynamics where people's inputs are being considered, and so on and so forth. Thirdly, I think the inclusivity of its decision making, involving inputs from management, involving stakeholders from outside, are being considered on a regular basis, helps to ensure that the decision making are sound and is inclusive of all the various parameters that they need to consider.
And that is a very important aspect. I mean, we talk about fostering a very leadership culture. And talking about the future of financial institution in the digital economy, with the rapid pace of digital transformations, and we are the ASEAN leader for 2025 this year, what some of the governance frameworks, for example, maybe you can share with us, must financial institution adopt to stay resilient, agile, yet secure in digital economy?
Okay, remaining resilient and ensuring agility in the board is made known to all board members. And that's why board members today are more active in acquiring new information, building networks with outside, making sure that they are fully aware. Importantly, the exposure to various elements of the changes that are taking place. For example, the impact of artificial intelligence, the emerging cybersecurity, the threats coming from scam issues, and so on and so forth, are not strangers to the board members. They are fully aware, and therefore, with the availability of technology, which allow access to not only knowledge but exposure. Where I come from, where I lead the team in ensuring that the financial industry the directors receive the up-to-date information, it's that we making sure that the contents of what we bring in through thought leadership, technical leadership, as well as the awareness of the disruptions that are happening in the industry are made known, and it's up to the board. So, in other words, board directors today is more like a full-time job. They need to get themselves prepared. They need to make sure that they do have the capacity to last, and importantly, the necessary capacity to be able to participate in the decision-making process, so that the industry will continue to thrive and prosper even during this disruptive and very unpredictable environment.
All right, Mr. T, this is very insightful sharing, but I think we don't have much time. I hope we can have this kind of conversation in the future and more updates. Again, I would say thank you very much to Mr. Tay K. Luan, the CEO of Financial Institution Direct. Doctors of Education Forum. Again, I would say thank you very much.
Thank you.
And definitely all of our discussion here will be featured in astroawani.com across all social media platforms. Baik, kita akan teruskan dengan topik perbincangan seterusnya di mana kalau kita beri tumpuan kepada penjagaan kesihatan di Malaysia semakin menjadi fokus utama dalam perbincangan awam memandangkan semakin banyak cabaran yang dihadapi oleh sistem kesihatan negara dengan peningkatan inflasi kos perubatan sebanyak 12.6% lebih tinggi daripada purata dunia. Meskipun peruntukan perbelanjaan kerajaan perlu diseimbangkan untuk memenuhi keperluan lain, masih terdapat persoalan tentang bagaimana kita dapat mengoptimumkan sumber sedia ada untuk mengekang kos dalam penjagaan kesihatan. Dengan itu, dalam segmen ini kita akan meneliti bagaimana Malaysia dapat seimbangkan keperluan penjagaan kesihatan awam yang mampu milik dengan permintaan penjagaan kesihatan swasta yang semakin meningkat yang menjadi persoalan utama. Dan sudah tentu kita nak meneliti juga dan melihat apakah antara kerjasama untuk kita pastikan sistem penjagaan kesihatan negara dapat berfungsi dengan baik dan cekap, menjamin kesihatan rakyat tanpa menjejaskan keberdayaan ekonomi negara. Dengan itu saya mempersilakan tetamu yang sudah bersedia dalam talian adalah Azrul Muhammad Khalid, merupakan pengasas dan ketua pegawai eksekutif Galen Center for Health and Social Policy. Again, I would say thank you very much. Azrul, kalau kita lihat banyak kebimbangan apabila bercakap mengenai penjagaan kesihatan dalam kalangan rakyat terutamanya. Namun melihat kepada keadaan semasa, check reality, sejauh manakah antara kesan peningkatan, pertama sekali kita bercakap mengenai pembiayaan yang kerajaan terhadap kualiti dan juga accessibility keseluruhan penjagaan kesihatan awam di Malaysia setakat ini?
Terima kasih. Kalau kita melihat dari segi peningkatan pembiayaan kerajaan, kita lihat pada belanjawan yang diberikan allocation yang diberikan dalam belanjawan setiap tahun, kita melihat untuk tahun ini iaitu pada 2025 peruntukan yang telah diberikan adalah sebanyak 45.3 bilion iaitu peningkatan sebanyak daripada 41.2 bilion dan ianya merupakan peruntukan yang kedua terbesar dalam belanjawan tersebut. Tapi soalannya adalah di manakah wang atau dana itu dimasukkan atau diperuntukkan untuk pembelanjaan apa. Dan kalau kita melihat sebenarnya kurang daripada 10% adalah kepada pembelanjaan development atau pembangunan dan kebanyakan daripada dana ini perginya adalah kepada operational expenditure untuk membayari salary, remuneration dan sebagainya. Dan masalahnya di sini adalah ianya melibatkan underinvestment di bagaimana infrastruktur kesihatan, contohnya dari segi kesihatan digital untuk memberikan environment atau persekitaran pekerjaan yang lebih bagus, on-call pay contohnya, dan ianya semuanya adalah faktor yang mempengaruhi sama ada seseorang profesional atau healthcare professional ini mahu dimasukkan dan kekal dalam servis dalam perkhidmatan. Dan isu contohnya seperti sama ada pension atau tidak, ia memberikan sebab mengapa mereka kekal dalam perkhidmatan. Dan seperti mana kita di pihak swasta, sektor swasta akan mencari pekerjaan, itu adalah ciri-ciri atau isu-isu yang sama yang seseorang yang akan bekerja dalam sektor kesihatan awam akan kekal untuk bekerja dalam kesihatan awam. Masalahnya ialah kebanyakan isu ini dia saling kait ya. Dia bukan hanya kepada isu sama ada doktor atau jururawat, tapi sekiranya enabling environment itu tidak bagus atau tidak menggalakkan seseorang itu untuk kekal atau memberikan kesihatan yang efisien, efektif dan sebagainya, ia akan menyebabkan ramai yang akan keluar daripada perkhidmatan dan ia akan menjejaskan keadaan penjagaan kesihatan awam di Malaysia itu sendiri. So kita perlu melihat pelaburan yang lebih bagus, bukan saja di jumlah yang peruntukan yang diberikan, tetapi di manakah pelaburan itu atau peruntukan itu dibiayai atau menyokong, apakah yang diberikan untuk sektor kesihatan itu.
Dan Azrul, adakah peruntukan bajet semasa melihat kepada sektor kesihatan antara yang kedua tertinggi, namun kita harus beri tumpuan pada masa sama inflasi kos perubatan juga meningkat lebih kurang 20% seperti yang dikeluarkan oleh laporan. Tetapi melihat kepada bajet semasa peruntukan ini, adakah ia dapat menangani masalah yang saling berkait yang Azrul kongsikan tadi dan mampu menghalang mereka daripada keluar daripada kesihatan awam ini?
Masalahnya sekarang ialah ketidakseimbangan penggunaan perkhidmatan perubatan yang sedia ada. Kalau kita tengok dari segi penggunaan perkhidmatan perubatan tu, 70% daripada populasi Malaysia ni menggunakan perkhidmatan awam. Manakala yang 30% ni menggunakan perkhidmatan swasta, perubatan swasta. Dan apa yang berlaku sekarang ni ialah inflasi perubatan ini yang pada awalnya dikatakan 12.6%, tetapi sekarang Bank Negara menganggarkan untuk tahun ini dan mungkin tahun seterusnya ianya akan menganjak ke 15%. Inflasi ini akan mengganggu-gugat dan juga mempengaruhi kedua-dua bahagian, iaitu swasta dan juga awam. Dan masalah yang dikemukakan oleh pengurusan perubatan ini sekarang ni ialah bagaimana untuk memastikan perbelanjaan ini dapat dikawal. Dan kita melihat banyak indikator-indikator yang sangat membimbangkan, iaitu antaranya kita melihat dari segi pembelanjaan out of pocket, di mana seseorang itu akan mengeluarkan wang simpanan, dia akan gadai rumah atau keluar EPF dan sebagainya untuk tujuan pembelanjaan perubatan itu. Kita melihat semakin ramai yang berbuat demikian. Kalau dulunya mungkin 35%, sekarang ni adalah 38%. Yang menggunakan insurans juga semakin ramai kerana hakikatnya penduduk Malaysia ni dia semakin sakit, dia ada penyakit kronik, dia semakin tua dan sebagainya. Oleh itu penggunaan perkhidmatan kesihatan itu semakin meningkat. Masalahnya sekarang adalah bagaimanakah kita boleh mengimbangkan penggunaan perkhidmatan kesihatan ini supaya sekiranya berlakunya ada inflasi perubatan itu tidak menyebabkan orang untuk menganjak daripada swasta ke perubatan awam, kerana sistem perkhidmatan awam sekarang ini sudah pun terlalu ramai, terlalu dia congested, terlalu banyak penggunaan. Kalau kita pergi ke klinik, KK, hospital dan sebagainya, ramai penduduk yang menggunakan perkhidmatan awam dan mereka berada di dalam sistem dengan lebih lama berbandingkan dengan swasta. Manakala di swasta ni sekiranya terlalu mahal dan keluar daripada kemampuan, mereka akan pesakit akan menamatkan insurance policy mereka dan menggunakan perkhidmatan awam. So kita yang membimbangkan sekarang ni adalah apabila berlakunya pergerakan pesakit daripada swasta ke awam disebabkan tidak mampu untuk membiayai kos kesihatan di swasta. Dan inflasi sekarang ni yang kita melihat ni dia tidak beku, dia akan sentiasa meningkat setiap tahun.
Dan seperti yang Astro kongsikan tadi, penduduk Malaysia ini kita dilihat saban tahun semakin ramai menghidapi penyakit kronik. Dan ini juga angka-angka ini ataupun kita lihat situasi ini mencerminkan tahap kesedaran rakyat Malaysia tentang isu penjagaan kesihatan mungkin berada pada tahap yang rendah. Dan kita tahu isu penjagaan kesihatan adalah concerted effort. Penyakit tidak berjangkit di Malaysia semakin tinggi. Kalau di media sosial secara jujurnya orang jual dessert manis sangat ramai dan kita lihat orang ramai beratur panjang. Dan ini adalah kesedaran. Jadi apa lagi boleh kita buat untuk sedarkan orang ramai bahawa rakyat Malaysia kita lihat kebanyakannya mempunyai kesedaran yang agak rendah, Azrul?
Masalah di Malaysia ni sebenarnya ialah literasi kesihatan yang dikatakan 1/3 daripada penduduk mempunyai tahap literasi kesihatan yang rendah. Dan ini bermaksud apabila ianya diberikan maklumat, mereka diberikan maklumat, diberikan kesedaran dan sebagainya yang dilakukan oleh kerajaan contohnya, mereka tidak begitu memahami bagaimana maklumat itu berkait rapat pada diri mereka, dan yang paling pentingnya bagaimana maklumat itu memberikan informasi untuk mereka mengubah sikap mereka. So contohnya kalau dulu you akan beratur untuk membeli air balang tu yang jual dekat pasar dan sebagainya, sekarang ni kita tak pergi buat tu. Tapi disebabkan mereka tak faham mengapa ianya akan menyebabkan diabetes, mereka akan terus berlaku atau membuat kelakuan tersebut. So sekarang ni kalau kita melihat tanggungjawab untuk menjaga kesihatan ni sebenarnya adalah pada diri kita dan bukan pada kerajaan atau sektor kesihatan swasta dan sebagainya. Kita perlu mengambil tanggungjawab untuk mendidik diri kita dan juga keluarga kita untuk menjaga kesihatan yang lebih bagus. Masalah sekarang ialah diabetes di Malaysia ni pun kita melihat angka yang begitu tinggi, 3.9 juta orang yang dianggarkan menghidap diabetes, yang menghidap hypertension, penyakit kardiovaskular, yang menghidap kronik penyakit buah pinggang kronik, yang menghadapi renal failure juga, yang kegagalan buah pinggang juga terlalu ramai kalau dibandingkan jumlah penduduk. Dan kalau kita tengok dari segi penyakit-penyakit ini, penyakit kronik seperti diabetes di Malaysia adalah antara yang tertinggi di dunia kalau dibandingkan dengan populasi. So kita perlu mengambil tanggungjawab itu sendiri.
Betul, dan kalau kita tidak mengambil tanggungjawab itu dan sistem penjagaan kesihatan akan runtuh sekiranya kita tidak bekerjasama dan tidak mengambil tanggungjawab itu. Sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Astro Muhammad Khalid, merupakan pengasas dan ketua pegawai eksekutif Guidelines Center for Health and Social Policy. Sudah tentu setiap perkongsian ini akan kami rangkumkan dalam astroawani.com dan di semua platform digital Astro Awani. Jangan ke mana-mana, banyak lagi laporan yang akan kami bawakan. Kita akan beristirahat seketika dan kembali selepas ini.
University Malaya UM is expected to offer a cardiothoracic specialist training course this October.
There will be no U-turn on the implementation of the Vehicle Entry Permit VEP for all foreign vehicles entering Malaysia from Singapore.
Diesel sales at petrol stations have decreased by 30% within the first week of the fuel subsidy rationalisation on June 10th.
All right, thank you for tuning in to Niaga Awani. Looking back at 2024, we witnessed as a dynamic year shaped by global monetary tightening, inflationary pressures, and also a steady post-pandemic recovery. So as we step into New Year 2025, Bank Negara Malaysia's OPR decision will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in shaping the economy outlook, from household spending to business investments and also market performance. So to discuss further on this, we have the right authority to speak, which is Dr. Rosnani Rasul, the Chief Executive Officer BIMB Securities Neighbourhood on the line. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year to you. All right, today I'd like to delve into your thoughts on Malaysia's OPR trajectory for 2025. And let's start by setting the stage with a look at the overall economic outlook. And perhaps we can also do a little reflect on last year, 2024. We saw a delicate balancing act by Bank Negara Malaysia to support growth while managing inflation. So moving into 2025, what economic conditions or signals do you believe will have the greatest influence on the central bank's OPR decisions? Doctor.
Okay, good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Overall, I would like to congratulate the government and Bank Negara for a very good growth engine for the country last year. As we know, fourth quarter GDP clocked in at 4.2%, second quarter at 5.7%, and then third quarter at 5.2%. So the fourth quarter GDP will be announced on the 14th of February. We think that is going to be another good number, a good growth, growth momentum for the country, bringing the average for the full year at about 5%. This is in line with the expectation of the government, which expect the growth to be in the range of 4.8 to 5.2%. Though I'm not surprised if the growth number in the fourth quarter touched 5% and then reach the the higher end of the target of the government. Now, in line with that, for the OPR, now OPR, there are 6 times of monetary policy meeting for the year. The first one we kick off in January. January, the expectation is that we believe that OPR will remain at 3%. Now, previously, OPR, the neutral level pre-COVID was at 3.25. Currently, post-COVID, we think that there's still structural improvement needed by the government to recover fully from COVID-19. We think that the OPR will remain steady at 3% for the rest of the year. Now, how the basis of that is that now we look at the inflation for the country. Inflation for the country for November, it came in at 1.8%, pushing for the full year average about close to 2%. So that is very moderate, and we don't see the sign of push inflation, meaning the the domestic price increases is largely contained. Additionally, we don't foresee the asset overheating that could lead to financial imbalance of the economy that could push Bank Negara to actually tighten slightly the OPR to 3.25 or even 3.5. So having said that, we foresee that the Bank Negara will put the growth objective ahead of inflation, because inflation remain contained at about 2% this year. Having said that, if I may, the only risk that we see is actually the subsidy rationalization that may take place in the second half of the year that could push inflation slightly higher. But then again, we will wait for the method, the framework that they are going to implement this, then only we will be able to see the momentum of inflation for the rest of the year. So far, we in Bank Islam, we foresee the inflation will remain about 2.7%. That is even after taking into account the subsidy rationalization that could take place in July or in the second half of the year. Inflation may reach the peak of 3.5%, the low of about 2% plus, but on average it's about 2.7%. That is actually still the average for 50 years for Malaysian CPI is about 3.3, 3.5%. So we think that is still manageable for the economy. But then again, this may not warrant for the monetary policy intervention by Bank Negara for this year.
Wait, Doctor, I want to touch a bit on the forecast or outlook that was announced earlier by Bank Negara. Maybe little impact. How do you foresee the potential reduction of the OPR to around 2.75%, affecting Malaysia's economic growth and inflation rates in 2025? And on the other hand, what are the potential risks associated with maintaining the OPR at 3% throughout 2025? And how can the risks be mitigated?
Currently, we do not see the growth risk for Malaysia. The risks are quite balanced. Upside risk and downside risk for that matter, though there are a few geopolitical tension here and there, but so far the impact is quite contained. We are largely mitigated by the fact that it's not really a global crisis. So the downside risk to cutting OPR to 2.75%, the prospect is quite low. However, even if you want to increase or tighten the OPR to 3.25, that could happen only if there is demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation meaning the demand is so much because of the full employment and also the economy is overheating. Economy overheating could be above 5.5% or above 6%. If you look at private consumption, if private consumption reaching about 7 to 8%, then Bank Negara may step in to actually tighten the OPR at 3.25. However, if OPR is being cut to 2.75, that could actually encourage speculative activity. Speculative activity could come in the form of stock market, could come in the form of property market. So I think Bank Negara would have to balance between the risk of actually if they cut the OPR to 2.75, growth could be so high, so good. However, there could be other danger for the economy, like I mentioned just now. However, if there is a need to actually tighten the OPR at 3.25, that could actually choke growth at a time when we are still recovering from the after effects of COVID-19.
Doctor, considering the global monetary easing cycle, in your opinion, how might international economic trends influence Bank Negara BNM's decision on the OPR? And in your opinion as well, which sectors of the Malaysian economy do you anticipate will be most impacted by changes in the OPR, and how should these sectors prepare for potential rate adjustments in the future?
Bank Negara does not base their decision based on the externalities. The development, the monetary development externally. They have two objectives. We have to remember two objectives of Bank Negara. One is actually growth objective and also inflation. There could be some movement, some development externally. There could be some impact of that. The impact. For example, the cut in federal fund rate or the increase in federal fund rate could have an impact or bearing on the ringgit. But then again, Bank Negara has made it very clear that the objective of the central bank is actually to protect the growth potential of Malaysia. So, despite there could be some monetary easing in AWANI's economy, that would not take into account the policy decision by Bank Negara. So, other than that, if they say there is an adjustment of OPR, or definitely there are certain sectors will be impacted. For example, as I mentioned just now, if there is a monetary policy easing, that could actually give property market the much needed push that would make their sector very encouraging again. However, if you increase the OPR 3 to 3.25, that could actually have an impact on the banking sector, as the financing rate may increase, and therefore direct impact on the loan growth and the financing sector or banking sector as a whole. So there is a pros and cons, a ramification, implication if there is a cut or if there is an increase in the OPR. However, we think that the recent meeting of OPR that was held in November, that was the ninth time that Bank Negara has maintained the OPR at 3%. So we do not see any push or pull factor for Bank Negara to make an adjustment. I think OPR will remain steady. Barring unforeseen circumstances, for example, the war in the Middle East intensified, or if there is a trade war. We know that President Trump, the 47th US president, will take his oath very soon, 22nd of January. So he could have some sweeping changes he could be making on his economic policy. So that could have an impact to us as an open economy and one of the emerging economies. So we would have to wait and see. But suffice to say that we think that in the first quarter, there will be two policy meetings by Bank Negara, which is in January and in March. We think that OPR will remain steady. However, for the rest of the year, that depends on the development, on the external development.
Dr. Inflation was a key concern in last year, 2024, though we noticed some easing towards a year end. So in your view, should the 2025 OPR strategy lean more towards inflation control or growth stimulation, given the current economic trajectory right now?
At the moment, we think that what's more important is actually the growth trajectory of the government or of the country. Inflation so far is not an issue. But then again, even if there is a subsidy rationalization in the second half, that actually does not really warrant an intervention so much, because we think that the impact could be contained, because the government has given their commitment that if any subsidy rationalization involving petrol, which is around 85% of the population will not be impacted by that. Therefore, that's why we maintain the view that inflation will remain contained, may not exceed 3.3, 3.5%, depending, however, still on the government mechanism on how they are going to implement this. Will that be total refloating, complete refloating of around 95? Will there be in stages? So at this stage, it remains speculative. However, we think that the adjustment or reflotation around 95 is best being done at one go, so that the impact to the economy will be only one-off. It will not have any successive or ripple effect to the economy if, let's say, around 95 is being adjusted in stages.
And a little bit on ringgit stability. The ringgit stability has been a critical factor for Malaysia's economic resilience, especially in 2024. So looking ahead, how can OPR decisions contribute to ringgit stability in 2025? And additional measures should, what additional measures should Bank Negara Malaysia consider as well?
Ringgit, Bank Negara does not really take into consideration the OPR if based on ringgit. Yeah, ringgit is actually, we are an open economy. Meaning we allow the supply and demand to determine the ringgit level. So even if we adjust the OPR, for example, for another 3.25%, however, there is about 25 basis points. However, if considering the fact that federal fund rate currently is about, they have another 50 basis points to be adjusted this year and next year, any central bank will not be able to to contain the impact of federal fund rate, the movement in federal fund rate, because of the large differential between, for example, Malaysia OPR and also federal fund rate. So therefore, we think that ringgit will remain influenced not by OPR but by supply and demand. Having said that, what's more important to Bank Negara is actually the stability of ringgit. It's very important to see that the volatility of ringgit is being managed very well, so that it will not pose any adverse impact to the export sector, because they base their pricing in dollar, for example. So I think the role of Bank Negara is actually to manage the volatility of ringgit so that it will not be too sharp, their daily movement. However, even if, as I mentioned, Bank Negara opt to make an adjustment in OPR, it will not have that large of impact to ringgit because of the large interest rate differential between federal fund rate and also OPR.
All right, I would like to say thank you so much to Dr. Rosnani Rasul from BIMB Securities Berhad, because as we reflect on Malaysia's economic path forward, your insights will be invaluable in understanding how we navigate these challenges and also opportunities. So again, thank you for sharing your expertise, and you can find this whole discussion on all of our social media platforms, and that includes astroawani.com. Thank you so much.
Hello KL, 18 Januari ini, sertiikan From KL to PL musim kedua di Pavilion KL.
Masa yang dinanti-nanti telah tiba.
Temui Nabil, Mirul Aiman, Bang Med, Intan dan legenda Johor.
I am the one.
Lihat impian Premier League mereka yang tercapai. Anda juga boleh memenangi jersey bertanda tangan eksklusif. Dapatkan pas foto dengan Astro Rewards. Jumpa anda di sana.
The talk, I play the ball, I do it all. You know the name, I got the game, ruling this world in my legacy. Bling bling, my chain, I reign with my energy. Get out your game.
Hi, welcome to another episode of ASEAN Kita, where today, Amirul, it's a very special episode because it's a guest that I met the other day in Terengganu for ESG Global Young Leaders Summit 2024. And as Malaysia prepares to assume the chairman of ASEAN in 2025, the region is looking towards the future of environmental policy. And of course, what are the promising developments on the horizon in this segment? We will be exploring the policies that offer hopes for the region's sustainable future and how Malaysia can lead the charge. And environmental, social and governance (ESG) issues are also becoming more important than ever, especially when young activists and women take the lead. That's why we are having her.
Yes, Farhan. To kick things off, we are joined by a passionate environmental advocate all the way from the Philippines, as we are eager to hear about what inspired her to take these crucial actions in this crucial field, and her opinions on ASEAN's role in mitigating environmental issues happening across its nation. Right? And thank you, Mary Jane Lamost, or MJ, who's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative, for joining us. Thank you, MJ, for joining us today. Perhaps we could start by sharing a bit about what inspired you to get into this crucial field, MJ.
Hi again, good morning. To begin with, let's go back to how I started. So as a child, I have always been drawn to the nature. So I grew up in the mountains, and I only got to see the ocean once a year. And for me, it was one of the most amazing, most memorable experience as a child. So when I decided to took course in university, there was no further discussion with my parents. I did go straight to biology, majoring marine biology, and then doing those courses, I was actively involved in volunteer work. So especially directly related to the ocean. So spending hours snorkeling. I did move to doing research work for Mobola fishery. And so it was kind of innate for me to explore research expedition. And some of the research I was involved is scientific diving for coral reefs, marine mammal survey. I also did Mobola fishery and sea turtle research awareness.
Yeah, I think people are anticipating policies that are related to the environment, especially for Malaysia's chairmanship in ASEAN next year. Well, as someone who is deeply invested in the region's environmental future, what are you most hopeful about when it comes to policies related to environment?
There's a lot of existing policies already. I think it's a matter of hoping that the policies, especially the one related to the environments, are implemented alongside with the communities who are going to be directly impacted or benefit these environmental policies. And then I have been in the environmental advocacy for over 10 years, and I have seen both sides, like the success of a policy. It boils down to how aware and involved the community in creating and during the process of the creation of the policies.
As we all know, Malaysia is going to chair the ASEAN Summit in 2025. MJ, what are your thoughts on the progress of the Eco-Green ASEAN initiative so far?
I was quite excited to hear when I saw the ASEAN 25. It's like, oh, this is something not in my radar at the moment. So in a space where I'm now, I think it's really useful. I can see that Eco-Green initiative in the ASEAN region have become first, collaborative. Second, it has become inclusive. Third, it has become resilient, especially during and after pandemic. So I was able to witness youth leaders, startups, mentors, and founders coming together to support in crafting solutions that can be implemented simultaneously. And then if I check my LinkedIn right now, I will have at least 10 opportunities like fellowship, grant, policy campaigns that I can easily share to my youth network. So way back when I was starting, I have to scramble to find all these things, and now it's in our hands, it's in your hands to choose which path and opportunities you will be prioritizing.
Well, Mary, I believe that there are many initiatives, to galvanize youth movements to champion issues related to the environment. So in your view, how do young environmental activists like yourself and myself and Amirul, influence policies in ASEAN? What could be done to give youth advocates and, even stronger voice in these discussions?
Recently, I've recently seen a news of a friend of mine, who's been working in mangrove restoration in the Philippines. So he posted an open letter to an airline company, which is Cebu Pacific. So as part of the CSR, or it's called the corporate responsibility resilience of a company, they do environmental, I guess, activities to support the environment. So what they did is they conducted mangrove planting. So a good initiative, but indeed ended up harming the ecosystem. So they planted the wrong mangrove species in a wrong location. So with that open letter, how was it? With that open letter, in just one day, the Cebu Pacific reached out to them and have like a call apologizing. They provide like an open letter of like, I guess, apologizing to the Philippines that what they did was wrong. They learned from it. And then for their next future CSR campaigns, they're gonna be involving expertise, science, to make it more sustainable, and how do you say, more sustainable, and basically involving the community. And I think by just using our voice, using our access to social media, using our own platform, we can already address these problems. We are not the one that, how do you say, we are not really the one creating those policies, but we can influence how these policies is implemented in the local community's future.
MJ, as we all know, women play an important part in today's generation, and in terms of leadership, and a lot of the initiative involves women nowadays. And as a woman yourself, how do you see the role of women in ESG leadership evolving, especially in coastal communities where you work, and maybe what unique perspectives do they bring to the table, MJ?
Okay, so I have been working in the ocean space for a while now. I work at Sustainable Ocean Alliance, which was founded by women when she was 19 years old. I run Tagpi alongside with women entrepreneurs for 4 years now. So basically, I'm surrounded with inspiring and hardworking women who is actively involved in ESG. And the way we approach the work is through nurturing the people we work with. We approach the communities with a mindset that these communities don't need our perspective. We need their perspective for the success of our work. And I think that's how basically we can bring more table, because we don't see ourselves as experts. We see ourselves as basically the branches that brings that information to the roots of a tree.
Yeah, perhaps you could share like what kind of perspective that women may have that are different from what men have.
Oh, that's a good question. I think, for example, in line with the work that I do with Tagpi, so the women, they have been really productive in managing their finances. So, for example, they're earning money from us, and one of the aspects that I've seen that they are really, leading their finances is that they were able to separate like funds for their let's just call it emergency funds for fun, and then that funds for fun we were able to go to like family trips during weekend. We go to snorkeling activities, and I think just having that thought that you hold the power to make a decision, regardless if you are within your family, within a society governed mostly by men. I think holding your voice in like tiny decisions, whatever you're doing, is already a good how do you say, role that a woman should see, a qualities of a woman, whatever leadership she wants to be involved with.
MJ, interesting that you brought up about Tapi, as a social entrepreneur and a founder of Tapi Upcycling Initiative. How do you balance economic empowerment and with environmental sustainability in your initiatives?
Okay, I think for the past 4 years, it has always been trial and error. So some things work really well, like the next moment it does not. But I think we stay true to the vision of Tagpi that we want to empower women in the rural coastal areas through like providing them the economic support and also the awareness of the environment that they live on. So to say, I think it has always been I serve with integrity and purpose, and I think that has always been Tagpi-Tagpi's mission. Like if you create, we created Tagpi-Tagpi for the purpose of empowering women. So I think until to this date, we have stayed aligned with it. Methods have changed, formula have changed, but I think the mission is still there, and I think that's how a business will be sustained. Like whatever economic, environmental sustainability you are looking into, I think you have that in place already.
Yeah, Mary Jane, is it a challenge? Do you think is it a challenge for you to convince what you guys are doing actually, brings impacts to the world? Like, if there are challenges, perhaps you could share. What are some of the challenges that you have been facing, perhaps?
I think one of the challenges until now, like in address, it's like sharing our stories, right? So, first is we have a limited number of people. Our team are voluntary, so basically that's already one limiting factor, that we are not active in social media as much as we want to. But then we are given a platform. Like I have given the opportunity to go abroad to attend these conferences, and I think that's the platform that you can really amplify what you're doing on the ground, because these people, they see your initiative as a solution. They don't just see you as like a business like trying to exploit women. So let's just set as an example. I'm not generalizing it, but the nature of there's still a gap between social enterprise in the Philippines and when you go to abroad. So for example, a social enterprise in the Philippines, when a customer sees it, the first thing that they see is, oh, it's so expensive. So they don't see the story. But when you go abroad, they don't even ask how much is it. They always ask like, oh, how was it created? Who created it? What was the material? So basically having a more bigger platform to showcase social entrepreneurs' work or like activities in their respective communities makes a lot of I guess you gain more boost for you to continue, because we need that. We need that as social entrepreneurs. And I think having that just having that access to global platform opportunities like this already gives us a moral support to continue what we're doing.
All right, that's Mary Jane Lemos, Marine Biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. There's still a lot to unpack, Farhan, in our discussion towards a greener ASEAN, but we'll take a short break and we'll be right back after this.
University Malaya UM is expected to offer a cardiothoracic specialist training course this October.
There will be no U-turn on the implementation of the Vehicle Entry Permit VEP for all foreign vehicles entering Malaysia from Singapore.
Diesel sales at petrol stations have decreased by 30% within the first week of the fuel subsidy rationalisation on June 10th.
Penyasaran subsidi diesel di Semenanjung tidak akan memberi kesan kepada harga barangan keperluan di Sabah, Sarawak dan Labuan.
660 individu berusia bawah 21 tahun di Sarawak telah diberikan kewarganegaraan.
Sarawak kini menjalinkan kerjasama dengan Bank Dunia dalam menjayakan perdagangan karbonnya.
Hi, welcome back to ASEAN Kita. We were discussing about eco-vision towards a greener ASEAN with Mary Jane Lamoste, MJ. She's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. Mary Jane, what lessons have you learned from your work with Tagpi-Tagpi and, that could help other young leaders who are interested in building ESG-driven businesses?
One thing I've always told the youth leaders I met with, the best time to start your ESG-driven business is today. And mentors and experts will give you the guidance, but by the end of the day, you create the formula on how to run your business.
I want to bring this discussion to an issue that is considered a hot topic in ASEAN, MJ, such as marine pollution, especially plastic waste. It remains a significant challenge to ASEAN countries, including Malaysia itself. What policies or grassroots movements do you think are the most effective in addressing such issues, MJ?
You know, this is one of the ocean issues that I'm always like, how do you say, like up and down comments, because as far as I can remember, it has been actively campaign against plastic pollution, and I think part of the existing efforts of the country, the Philippines, is that they are working with bigger companies, because I think the effort at the beginning is we started on the ground with the communities, but then they don't have a choice, right? They just go to warung and buy the cheapest shampoo sachet. So the focus now is more on like targeting companies for them to basically improve their method, like for example, improve their packaging, improve their waste facility, recycling facility, and I think that's one of the ways to increase or to fasten the the movement towards plastic waste, pushing for change. And then what the last one will be really education, like ocean literacy related to plastic waste in the country. And there are many ways of doing it, like I don't know, like social media, innovation, plastic innovation, creating new products out of it. But it always goes back, like by the end of the day, each one of us has responsibility. We need to be accountable of our own action. If your family cannot do it, why not you start it on your own, and maybe you become an influence for them to start little by little.
And another issue on marine diversity issue is that coral reefs still remain a crucial part of marine biodiversity, MJ, and it has been heavily impacted with climate change. How can ASEAN countries collectively ensure their protection and rehabilitation, MJ? Your thoughts in this?
Okay, I really like this topic. So the protection of the coral reef is it's really huge, right? Like this is one of the environment that we don't have a control, because it's heavily affected. It depends on the sun, it depends on the rain. But one thing for sure, for protection, I would say we need to be mindful when we do coral reef restoration, because some researchers have seen that instead of restoring an environment that was degraded by, I don't know, like coral bleaching, erosion, organization, they started like replanting or coral restoration. It ended up affecting the whole ecosystem. Instead of saving it, it got worse. So they were, I was reading a scientific article the other day that why not just let it be? Nature heals on its own. And I would say the least we could do is collect the plastic that like scatter around. If we go to a touristic place for snorkeling, let's be mindful that a polyp, corals, they only grow 1 centimeter per year. So I have this notion, like recently we have this choral activity with the youth. So basically we use the power of fear. So we thought it's true though, it's implemented, it's a rule implemented. So if any guide, any bantay dagat, we call it's like reef ranger. So if any reef rangers see you stepping in a coral, you're gonna have fines of I think it's 10 US dollar. So we use the fears like, okay, you're free to swim, but if you how do you say, if you step on a coral, make sure you have 10 US dollars. So I think it's more. It's 2,500 in Philippine peso. I think it's more, but
Okay.
I think it's useful for the youth because they are still like hyper vigilant. They still at the stage of like, oh my god, I don't want to create any trouble. So I don't know, like methods needs to adapt whoever whoever is the audience.
Yeah. MJ, do you think that despite all these efforts and measures, in mitigating this issue, it all goes back to how the policies are implemented? And if so, what do you think still lacks in terms of policies, and what needs to be emphasized in all of these policies?
Policy. This is really interesting topic for me. So I think for me, the policy implementation, it always boils down of how involved the community, who is the benefactor or the caretaker of that specific environment. So for example, if you create an MPA in a specific area and you didn't tell the community that it's an MPA, of course they're gonna still go fishing because that's their livelihood. And imagine if they create a marine protected area with like a meeting with the community, creation of zonation, which area they can only fish, basically give them the right information, why it's needed, why they need to be involved. It creates a sense of how do you say, belongingness. It creates a sense of like, we own this place, we're gonna take care of this. And I think a policy to be well implemented, it needs to have that section of like community needs to be the caretaker of that specific area being protected.
Yeah, let's go back to Malaysia's chairmanship for ASEAN 2025. The Philippines has been hit hard, by several disasters like Typhoon Yagi and Mani recently. So, as a Filipino, someone who lives in Philippines, right? What do you think ASEAN can do together to help, countries to better prepare for these disasters, and what role can Malaysia play during its chairmanship?
Yeah, we have typhoon is such a heavy topic for me because I live in an island that was just hit by 3 typhoons in the last 3 weeks, and I think even until today, like typhoon has been, I think the typhoon has always been part of our lives, and I think for me it's more on like I have maybe 2 things in mind. It's more on like spreading the right information. Like I've been moving abroad, and sometimes I overhear someone, they're receiving the wrong news, or they're like disseminating the wrong information towards the principal. Oh my God, there's like 100 people died already in this specific location. I'm from the Philippines. I don't even have that information. Like, where are you getting that information? So for me as a Malaysian citizen, for in camaraderie of your ASEAN regions, I think the best way is to ensure that if you're like spreading information, don't just share what is in Facebook. Go to the source. We have few news outlet who are really on the ground, going there in times of this crisis. And the second one would be, I guess, cross collaboration, especially like if other ASEAN countries have figured out how do you say, like rescue movements, like rescue planning, risk and reduction team. I feel like Philippines are still behind. based on my understanding, we don't even have much. I think we have rescuers that are well capacitated to do the rescue, but then we don't even have the materials in doing the rescue. We don't have like like speedboats that can go there easily, and it's really sad to see that, right? And the third one, lastly, I guess, is to actively support rescue organization. There are one accredited by I think I can mention a few, like Angat Buhay. It's like Uplift Life. It was a foundation created by Leni Robredo, the previous vice president. So she created this this organization to assist it's more on to mobilize volunteers during this rescue typhoon. And I think just the power of using whatever resources you have. If you're good at like finding where is the closest pharmacy, where is the closest airplane, like rescue helicopter, the speedboat, if it is already in place, or if ASEAN countries have better better method of like rescue preparation, I think that's one thing that you can even directly address it to youth organization that you already exist. I know for sure like there's effort in the government, but then if we can do it on our own, why not start it like right away? We can mobilize like right on the spot if it's needed right away.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mary Jane Lamos. She's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. And thank you for joining us, MJ. Well, Farhan, I guess that's all the time we have for today's episode of ASEAN Kita, where we explore the policies that offer hope for the region towards a greener ASEAN. And that's all for us today, Farhan. And I'm Amirul Aiman.
I'm Farhan Hakimi signing off. See you next time.